If I might ask, what is shame? Shame is a complex and powerful human emotion that arises from a sense of embarrassment, guilt, or humiliation about one's own action. This often stems from a perceived failure to meet societal or personal standards, values, or expectations. It usually involves a deep sense of self-disapproval, which can sometimes be accompanied by feelings of inadequacy or worthlessness. In recent times, there has been a push to obliterate shame from the society, and I think we might want to take a deep pause before we jump on that bandwagon. As it is, there are obviously some demerit to shame, but regarding shame itself as evil is going to do us more harm than good. Let's discuss some reasons why shame was encouraged in the early days of our civilization. Firstly, socialization and cooperation. One theory suggests that shame may have evolved as a social emotion that encouraged cooperation and adherence to social norms within early human groups. Feeling shame when one violates group norms was used to promote social harmony and cooperation in those days. Secondly, moral development. Shame also have played a role in the development of moral and ethical behaviors. It must have served as a moral compass that guided individuals to act in ways that align with their community's values and expectations. Thirdly, maintaining relationships. Shame serves as a signal in interpersonal relationships. When one person feels ashamed of their actions, it may prompt them to make amends or seek forgiveness from others. This helps to repair and maintain relationships. Lastly, psychological regulation. In moderation, shame can contribute to self-awareness and self-regulation. It can help motivate individuals to make positive changes in their behaviors and seek help when needed. Notably, for this importance to be enjoyed, there has to be a general accepted knowledge of good and bad. Essentially, this has to be a step further than what the law says is right or wrong. How? To understand this, a little insight into the limitations of the law will be required. Firstly, our laws are usually drawn out of observation of what works and doesn't work in our society. For instance, we all know disagreements can go out of hands, resulting in people killing each other over disagreements. The ancient community realized that if all it takes for someone to get killed is someone else's anger, everyone will be at danger of losing their precious lives at their whim. So what did they do? They decided to put it into law that anyone who kills the other illegally would be killed. Notably, this same consequence was put in place for a number of destructive habits like stealing, rape, and so on. In the long run, the essence of putting such things into law is to scare people away from this nefarious act. However, the law has its limitations, and those limitations are what shame helps us to stay away from. Importantly, shame helps us to enforce unwritten social rules that are effective in maintaining peace and fostering relationships. Let's take the instance of a cheating partner in a romantic relationship. There is no law against cheating in a relationship, but instinctively, we all know and agree that it is wrong to cheat. A cheating partner would openly discuss how she or he is cheating on their partner on their social media handles. They understand they are going to be greeted with disgust if they engage in such acts or if they dare to promote and talk about it openly. The benefit of shame in that instance is huge. On the other hand, for us to enjoy the benefit of shaming, we need to all agree on what constitutes right and wrong. Sadly, this is getting difficult as time goes by. In short, the difference between right and wrong is becoming blurrier than ever. Remember, something might not be illegal, such as in the case of cheating, but is still considered as a wrongdoing. Most times, we can only achieve this when the guilty party can be shamed. The big question is, how do we overcome this daunting challenge in front of us without seeming judgmental? This seems to be the weapon engaged by those on the sides of wrong to continue perpetuating their wrong act. After all, you can't shame something you don't consider wrong. This leaves us at a crossroad where there is nothing to hold each other accountable. A very dangerous place to be. You also need to put into consideration the fact that something might be right and still be a simple act. It all comes down to context. We all bat every day. Well, I hope you do. But we do so in private. No one comes outside of their house or compound to take a bath when people are walking around. Why is this so? Well, the reason is because the act of bathing publicly is shameful as at the time of this recording. Hopefully, I pray we don't get to the point where we have to debate whether this act is shameful or not. At this point, I believe everyone is expecting me to list out things that should be considered right and wrong. Well, you would have to do that for yourself. But importantly, I'm going to tell us what to do after we all come up with a list of what is right or wrong. First point, do not allow another person to shame you for choosing to see a behavior as being right or wrong. We all need people to defend the things they consider as good more than ever before. It is not unusual for people who don't hold themselves accountable to anybody or any standard to ridicule or shame other folks for choosing to see a certain act as being wrong. Please, try as much as possible not to fall for their antics. Even if you can't shame people for doing the wrong things because the definition of wrong and right is no longer as universal as it used to be, just ensure that you keep those things which are right to yourselves as being sacred. Likewise, ensure that you show disgust for things you consider to be wrong. Don't allow anyone to shame you for having moral standards. You can't force anyone to adopt your moral standards, but one thing you can do is to say what your moral standards are and to ensure you stick by them. However, it's important to note that shame can also have negative consequences when expressed excessively or inappropriately. Interestingly, this is the point where the naysayers seem to have a point. As much as shaming can be used for good purposes, it also has harmful effects which one has to pay attention to, so as not to ensure that harm is not being done to the other party in as much as it is in one's capacity. In today's world, some of the problems of shaming are: number 1, low self-esteem. Chronic or intense shame can erode self-esteem and self-worth, leading to feelings of inadequacy and self-loathing. Number 2, psychological distress. Shame can contribute to mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, and even self-destructive behavior. Number 3, social isolation. Excessive shame can lead to social withdrawal and isolation, as individuals may fear judgment and rejection by others. Now, in case it needs to be said, one might not be able to fully avoid these consequences on the other party. However, everyone has a part to play. We must all understand that no one is evil by choosing to have a standard for what is good and right, and that everything that falls below that standard in consequence has to be shamed. This is the only way to sustain morals. This brings us to the end of our conversation today on Bring Back Shame. Do let me know what you make of this episode in the comment section. Please do well to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more contents. Thank you.